Welcome to Pan a la Carte Players Only. My name is Noel La Pierre, your host. I'm looking forward for an interview here with the leading arranger, one of the leading arrangers out in Toronto there, from the big band Fantasy, Mr. Al Foster. Let's welcome him with a, you understand? Let's welcome him into the show. Al, what you say?
Hey, what's happening, Noel? Glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man, no problem, man. It's a pleasure. You know, it's about, what, 20-something, 30 years now I met you before?
No, man, more than that. Well, yeah, 30 is close to 30.
Close to 30, right?
Yeah, man.
Yeah. So I remember we did a show in Seneca, and they called you to play the anthem, man. I was amazed. You played the anthem on the
bass.
Yes, you played the bass. You went and played the anthem, Trinidad and Tobago and O Canada on the bass.
Yeah, man.
You know? And that was quite adventurous and amazing, man. And if I didn't compliment it then, I'm complimenting it now because I never forgot about it. You know?
I didn't even remember about that, so I appreciate
that. Yeah, it was the little small side with Xander.
Yep.
Yes,
yep.
The little side with Xander, and that was a nice period. That was really a nice period. That is when I started.
Good music on that show too.
Yes.
Yeah, and Xander had I think it was his song called Transformation or something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah. It was nice. That was in the beginnings, you know, when we were still trying to figure out what the whole thing was going on. I was about what, 16, 17 around that age.
Somewhere there. Yes. What college is Humber you were going?
West Humber Collegiate was the name of the high school. West Humber Collegiate.
You, Jason, Cheryl.
Yep.
Right.
Jason Guidine, Sheldon Peters, Cheryl Clark, Kevin Gums, a whole bunch of us. We called ourselves actually the Young Guns. Yeah,
man. There was a generation of Canadians back then. That was in the 90s.
That's it.
So.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, anyways, welcome to the a la carte Players Only. Right?
Thank you. And before we start, I must I have to tip my hat to you, man. You're doing a real good thing here with this a la carte, showcasing the Steelband. Like even back when I met you, you know, you've always been. I mean, the whole La Pierre family, man. You guys have my full respect on what you guys have done for. I don't think people really understand and really appreciate the levels in which you guys have promoted the pan in Trinidad, in Toronto, in Cayman Islands through your dad and some of your siblings. Man, you guys are doing some stuff, man, and I respect and appreciate y'all for that.
No, man, thank you very much, man. Thank you.
Yeah, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, man.
All right, so we're getting into the show, all right, and I want to tell our viewers something more about Al. Give you a little taste of Al's background, you know, with school, you know.
Background is so my story with the Steelband. I grew up in a rural neighborhood in Jane and Finch. I went to Shoreham Public School, and at that time there was a Steelband. I have to first of all say the Steelband was never a part of my culture where I grew up. My parents are Jamaican, so we never had that experience of seeing Steelband outside of the environment that I was exposed to. So I was first exposed to Steelband when I was a student at Shoreham School, and there was a neighboring school in junior high. I believe Lane Clark was the instructor over there at the time, and they used to always come over and serenade the kids with the Steelband. It was something that I just loved. I just gravitated towards it. And I was supposed to graduate from Shoreham and go to Jane Junior High, and one of the things I was looking forward to was learning to play Steelband. But we had moved. My mom had moved our residence. We moved to Rexdale, so I had lost that chance. Went to a new school, brand new school, brand new community. They had a steel band there. Pat McNeely was the instructor over there. And because they started you at grade 6, I attended school in grade 7. I started there in grade 7, so I missed the chance. I didn't really get a chance to play steel pan until finally in grade 10 when I was at West Humber. And a couple students and teachers had started the program there. That's really how I got started there. It was an extracurricular course, extracurricular program, and then I took the class after that, and I got some steel pan credits. Panman Pat was also the teacher over there. So that's just a brief history of how I started. Yeah.
All right. So, what was the influence? What was it? Who just pushed you? Who just pushed you into go to the band class, or is it just a feeling within you? Who influenced you?
In terms of the influence the influence piece is so broad, right? In school, my main influence was Panman Pat. Pat McNeely. He was the guy out west in that part of town, and he was the one who was a big part of the program out there. So he really played a big part in my beginnings in steel pan over there, And again, we continued playing steel pan there, and it wasn't until I think it was grade 11, and he, with his connection to Lincoln Waldron, who at the time was the arranger for Pan Fantasy, he had approached him and said, I have some kids who expressed the interest in wanting to play pan more than for school, and so he kind of brought us to him, and Pan Fantasy welcomed us with open arms.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
And I also have to credit the Naparima Alumni Association of Canada. They are a bunch of schools in Trinidad that they were the ones that facilitated that program at West Humber and started it. So they were the ones who got the steel pan started in West Humber Collegiate. So they are also need to be credited as part of the influence piece.
All right. That's good. So you, as a Jamaican, right, parentage, right? How you introduce that culture to your family? How it worked out? Is it because Toronto is a cosmopolitan country state? Was easy? How it was?
Well, interesting story. Caravana, our annual Caravana festival. My mom used to go there. My mom and my godmother and a couple other friends used to go down to the parade. And again, being Jamaican, Calypso wasn't part of their cultural upbringing. And, but my mom was very much into the Byron Lee. She went to Byron Lee all the time. Every time she went out, I always heard Byron Lee. And then I grew up hearing the soca, in the house as well. A funny story though, once we were going to Caravana, and I must have been about the single digit ages. And, I was at Caravana, and being a Canadian, you're not used to that kind of experience. And, we're there, and there's just a lot of people in a lot of costumes, and I complained, I complained that whole day. I was like, Mom, can we just go home? I'm so tired, I'm hungry, I'm this and that, whining the whole day. Not the Trini whining, but the whining, oh, I want to go home kind of thing, And I saw this steel band, and the sound of the steel band caught my attention. So, we were watching the steel band float past, and, my mom decided they decided that they were going to go down the road with this steel band. And, so I decided to hold on to the back, and somebody was playing these big drums. It was what I saw. Just these big drums they're playing. And, I really liked it. And my mom kind of encouraged me, and she was like, okay, in her eyes, it was like, okay, we finally found something to shut you up. Ironically, that steel band that I was chipping down the road with, unbeknownst to me, was Pan Fantasy.
Oh, shucks.
right? And I knew
Oh,
nothing about them. I'm talking like I was maybe 8 or 9 years old, right? And I knew nothing, absolutely nothing about them until years later. And then when I connected the dots, I was like, wow, really? You know,
wow.
so it was destiny.
Destiny for you, man. Destiny for you. So,
Yeah.
so your mom embraced the fact that you are so talented with it.
Yeah. My mom encouraged it because again, in that time, you know, we didn't really have a lot of the activities that we have now. You know, kids spent more time outside, and you know, she always discouraged me from going to the malls. You know, she always said that, you know, even to now, she said, you know, if you don't have any money, what are you going to the mall for? You know, malls was just not the right. And a lot of my friends were into just hanging out and going to the malls, not in a bad way, just that was the social thing back then, right? And my mom was not about it. She was just, you know, stay home. If you don't have anything to buy, you know, you really don't have no business in the mall. So, you know, it was just something for me to do, and you know, she encouraged it. So everything that was steel pan, she was all for it because it kept me busy. It kept me in and I also had the guidance. There were some big people in there who were really guiding you and kind of keeping you on the straight and narrow, you know, and you know, some of them, the names I already mentioned. So.
Yeah. So with the musical ability came from then with perfect pitch.
I started playing piano at age 5. It was, and you know, again, being a kid, you know, you don't really. It was just something I took for granted, but I was really good at it. And then I just, you know, I had stopped. My parents were separated at the time, and you know, it was always a chore for me to go to piano lessons, and I was like, you know, I don't want to do piano, you know, and you know, my father finally convinced my mom to say, you know, he doesn't really like this thing, you know, why are we doing this and wasting our money? So we ended up not going to piano lessons, and then the whole thing came full circle where pan was concerned. It kind of reignited that spark that I supposedly already had, right? So, and from there it was just, and I think I had the right people encouraging me too. You know, a lot of people around me saw things that I didn't necessarily see. You know, even as you mentioned, like Jason, who's one of my closest friends. You know, he was more into the, you know, yeah, you should try an arrange of something. You should try, you know, try this, try that, you know. And I didn't really know. I was just the kid who just, okay, let me try something, and I tried, and you know, it worked. And I had the right environment, the right encouragement, the right guidance, you know.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man. So how your career started then? How you
Uh,
became?
Career started in high school. Steel pan, I couldn't get enough of it. Um, I think the 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 experiences that I had in high school was what kept me grounded and kept me into it. And when I graduated from high school, I left and I didn't really know what I wanted to do. At that time, it was really unheard of for people in. I didn't have any musicians around me, people who were going to study in tertiary education and stuff like that in music. So it wasn't something that I was exposed to. So I didn't really see it as anything that was worthwhile. And my sister, who was older than me, she had gone to university. And, you know, I always noticed that with my involvement in Pan Fantasy, I was always, every single job I had, every single commitment I had, I always had to make arrangements. Like in the summer when you're working, you know, you take the last week of July off because that's Caravana. You know, you have practices and you want to play. And my sister finally said to me, you know, why don't you just do this? Why don't you just go study music? Go to school and study music. And I said, I don't know. And I applied. I applied as a mature student at York University. I had gone to Humber College as the pre-university program, the general arts and science, just to get in and kind of figure out what you want to do. And, you know, I had no direction, no desire to do anything specific. So when I was in college, it was just a pre-university, and then after that, I decided that I'm gonna give this thing a shot, and I'm gonna go to university and study music. I got in as a mature student because I was 19 at the time, 19, 20 years old at the time of entry. So I took that route, and I had already had a year and a half of college under my belt. So I went to university. I unfortunately I didn't finish that university program because of for financial constraints, which was really real in my time, and I wasn't able to do it. But I was still able to, on my own, kind of hone my skills and listen to a lot of the people, a lot of the influences, people who I call my influences now. And that's really what got me going.
Well, Papi, I have no problem with that route you're taking, because some people, you see people say, boy, blah, 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 I had this, but other people try to get it. But because of circumstances, the hard was to make other choices.
That's right.
One of my choices was either that or one turn my life to a professional out in Bermuda, 6 nights. And I choose to go professional route. Right? And I put it in time just as college time or even more, right? Because I was to deliver on every night you had to deliver.
That's right.
And it required and everything else. So I have no problem with that. You have to face it. The good thing about it is that to be successful at the end of the day, you understand, to get the job done and get it done to a certain level where that, you don't have to study if you finish university or if you finish university. Just do the job right. Just pay attention and do the job.
Yep.
And it's never too old to learn. So
no,
music is always.
That's it. And it's not something that I ruled out either. Like, I do want to go back and get that experience, but I just have when you're an adult, you have other priorities, you have family and other responsibilities. So those things kind of get in the way, and you kind of have to balance, right? So I do at some point plan to build just for me, not for anything else other than just to have the education, because it's the one single thing that people can't take from you, So I really want to make an effort to do that.
But the stage you reach right now, right? The stage you reach right now, other than going back for self-satisfaction and an accomplishment, you already passed that level,
Well, I mean, I you know what? When I went to university, oddly enough, I took 1 year in university and I did the music program, and I didn't learn anything new per se, but I learned how things work, and that's always been important for me. Once you know how things work and you realize what it is you're doing, then because university, like I don't remember the person, the gentleman who made the saying, but the purpose of education really is not to load people's minds with facts, but it's just to teach them how to think. And I kind of really, that was my experience. My 1 year in university, that was my experience. You kind of understand how things work. You kind of understand how to think. And I apply that in a world of different things in life, period. Once you know how things work, you understand the concepts, because people have facts. And I think that's one of the things, as being an educator, I try and teach people how to think. I don't really load them up with facts, because they'll get there. It's like the old saying, you can feed someone, or you can teach them how to fish. And I learned how to fish when I was in university. That was the one thing I learned to do.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Nice. And do you perform solo-wise and stuff, and how we go about that in Toronto?
Actually, I used to do it a lot before, but I think my focus now as a musician is I really like to arrange music. Like that's my passion. I like to arrange. I like again how things work. I like to put things in place and, you know, move things here and move things there. I'm a technical guy, so I like to see how things are built. I love music, and I totally respect guys like yourself and guys like your brother, your father, your brothers, your father and your sister, who and countless other musicians who take that route to solo and play solo. I do it. I don't do it often.
Right.
It's just not a thing. I think I prefer other things a lot more, like the arranging. The arranging is, I really love the arranging, especially now I'm trying to incorporate other instruments, you know, the strings and the winds and the horns and all that, the percussion. I really, really love that.
Okay. So you're getting deep into the orchestration of and the arrangement.
Absolutely.
Nice. So if you didn't bounce your toe and find pan, what you would have been? What you did like? What other profession you like to explore?
My second passion is I also studied hospitality, and which exposed me to the culinary side of things. So I did do a few chef courses. I am a culinary artist in my own right, and yeah, I think I would spend more time doing that, focusing, because it's another passion. I love to create food. You know, I like to eat. I like to see people but more importantly, I like to see people enjoying food. So, you know, the different creations that you can make with food, that's something that intrigues me as well.
All right.
I see you laugh when I say I love to eat.
Yes, because for some years past, from back then to present, and when I saw you see a bigger aisle, you understand, a full aisle.
Well, it's
You know,
life. It's life
right?
too, right? It's life too. You enjoy life. You just, you know, that's what happens. I was a skinny child, and you know, and that's always been the thing too. I see, and you're not the only one. And people say, "But boy, you get big, boy." But I know it's all in good fun. I mean, I'm not overweight at all, but I mean, you know, the food aspect is really a big part of it.
Yeah. I hear. All right, we're moving on here, people. Let's want to remind you, right? We have Mr. Al Foster, musician, arranger, right? Teacher, right? I will tell you the other part. He like food. You understand? So apparently you have a sweet hand. So we'll get into that too. All right,
Yeah.
but you want another card players only. All right? And then we continuing here on the inside. So what is the best Panama tune you perform? I didn't ask you where you arrange it.
No. So I have. So I've only been to Panorama once. I unfortunately have not been as fortunate as others, and just the time and other things that I can't make it to Trinidad on an annual basis like a lot of my friends do. The one chance that I've been to Trinidad Panorama twice. I was once in 1993, and I was back in 2008. And I remember seeing you in 2008. And
Yes.
you looked at me and you're like, boy, Al in Trinidad. I can't believe Al in things stick out like that in my head, right? And so the one experience I had playing Pan was with Desperados. They had played the 10 Commandments of Pan that year. And that was an experience and a half for me, again, who has zero background of this whole thing, you know, as someone who did this vicariously through people like you. I used to see you guys on the Phase 2 videos every year and say, well, I wish I could go every year, you know. So I've only played one Panorama song. In 93, though, when we went with our high school, we did an exchange with Success Laventil Composite School. And we had performed with them in the Junior Panorama. And, that was when that kind of was how I really understood how the whole thing worked, And, some of the kids I realized after some of those kids in high school, they went to play with the bigger bands, the Desperados, the Phase Twos, the Renegades, the Harmonites, the all different kind of Hummingbirds was also another band in the area that that a lot of my friends had gravitated to. So going back to your question, the only one song I've played was Ten Commandments of Pan by Desperados. Robert Greenwich arranged it, and it was an experience. I would love to live that experience again. The closest I've ever gotten to that again was when Pan Fantasy came as part of the International Steel Pan competition, the ICP, in 2015. Which yeah.
Because that coming with fantasy.
Right.
But you were in New York a couple of times, right?
Yes. So New York. Sorry, go ahead.
Did you perform there in a New York panorama?
I did. And my first panorama, oh gosh, my first panorama was we played with a band called Silhouettes in New York. Myself, your brother Earl, Gary Pena,
right,
and Wayne Donovan. We played. Boogsy was arranging that year, and I'm a huge Boogsy fan still. And just to be in the yard with Boogsy was just I was just in awe of everything, and that was magical. I also played with Invaders, who was arranged by your dad, Earl Sr. And that, again, coming down for a couple of days and learning 2 panorama songs in less than a few days, that I wasn't used to that speed. I wasn't used to that pace.
Yes, people, welcome back. Al, you was telling me about that New York trip when yourself, Gary Pena, Earl Jr., Wayne Donovan, and you guys made that trip. The question was asking was how many days before the panorama you all went to New
York? We went early in the week, maybe the Tuesday or the Wednesday. So panorama is on Saturday. So we went a couple days ahead and learned, picked up 2 songs, and the fascination, the thing I was fascinated with the most was just that how people were just like Silhouette's Pan Yard was booming and full of spectators, full of players. I think when we finally set up on the stage, there are people like even me. I was playing a tenor, a soprano pan, and I was in between a rack, almost close to where the drummer was. That you just had so many people playing in that band. It was just that massive. And I think that's to date. And thank you for asking me that question, because I totally not forgot, but it was just one of those things that I needed to jog my memory on. That was my another one of the experiences that I had that kind of had me that got me hooked on this thing, and especially because I was going to university right after that. I was going into university after that, so I just went into university on a high.
Nice.
Yeah, man.
No, if one day you started to arrange for Pan Fantasy, because you're the arranger for Pan Fantasy, musical director. Present. Yes. What year did you started to arrange Pan Fantasy?
I joined
how it happened?
Okay, so I joined Pan Fantasy in 1992. In the fall of 1992, Lincoln Waldron was the arranger at the time. And, I just, as I said before in previous questions, Pan Man Pat was the one who kind of pulled us there and introduced us. And then we met Wendy Jones, we met Edwin John, we met Spy, Carl Husbands. and a lot of the other senior members of the band. And we just stuck with it. And over the years, the band got smaller, but the stage side got tighter. And I was still Jason Guiding, who's one of my really good friends. He was the one who kind of encouraged me to just arrange a song here and there. And even in high school when we were playing in West Humber, I was the brains man, and arranging a little bit, and kind of helping out in that way. Wendy and Edwin saw this and decided to kind of give me a chance, and to do some, arrange some music, some stage side music, nothing big. And also at Jesse Ketchum Public School, with Cecil Muggs Clark and Heather McIver. They also were running a summer camp. Pardon me?
There we met. It's there we met.
Yes.
It's there we met. Jesse Ketchum.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, that's right.
We met at Jesse Ketchum.
Yes, that's right. And that's where I also had the chance to do some music there too. And Lincoln and the band had parted ways, and I was kind of thrown into the thing. They said, here's your chance, and I think there were some other people who were interested in kind of coming in and assuming the role, but the players, my peers, and they had convinced the senior members that they wanted me to be the one to kind of take the band to where and see what happens. So I was arranging stage side music, and this was around 2001, and that was a couple years after Pan Alive started. And Pan Alive, the Steelband competition, in Toronto, started off as just a show. It was just a jamboree. We're in a place called Ontario Place in 1997, was when that started. And after Pan Alive, a couple years, we did Pan in the Park, or Pan in Parliament, or something like that, in Queen's Park. And one year we just decided to take the band, and I gave them some summer music, and that was it. That was in 2001.
Okay. All right. So you're arranging with the band almost 18 years, 19 years.
Almost 20 years, yeah. Yeah, 2001.
You are the arranger.
Pardon me?
Yeah, and what's your you're on a roll right now. How many wins you have now? You're on a roll. I know you're on a roll. About 9 wins, 8 wins straight.
So with the Pan Alive competition, since it was started in 2005, I want to say, we've amassed 10 wins, 8 consecutive from 2012 to 2019, and also we won in 2005 and tied for first in 2006 with Afropan.
Wow. And all wins is under you?
Yes.
All the wins is under you. Your wins.
Pan Alive wins. Yes.
Man.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Right. Lovely. So where are you gonna go from here now? Where's our ultimate? Where's your ultimate? Where's your ultimate? What level are you want to aspire to?
I just think that there's I love Pan. I love music. I love Panorama. I think there's room for everyone. And I just don't, I feel that there's so much more that Steelband can do and that Steelband can be involved in. I really, really, really have an interest in bringing Steelband and what they call conventional instruments together. The strings, the winds, the horns, and all that kind of stuff. I've taken an interest in doing that. So I'm still here. Obviously, we can't do anything this year, so we get a little break. But I've been looking at fusion and combining stuff, and I really, really am interested in taking it further in that sense, and broadening the scope of pan and kind of combining it with everything and making more music with different things.
Okay. All right. And you talk about Trinidad, the international panorama. When you had that in Trinidad, Fantasy was one of the bands on the program. Talk about that experience in Trinidad for the band. And you, as the arranger of the band in Trinidad, your position being non-Trinidadian, but you in the art form so strong that, like, if you're Trinidadian, so talk about your experience down there.
ICP was to date one of my most it was the culmination of the culmination of a whole bunch of things. Through social media, you get to meet people from all over the world, and you get to see what everybody around the world is doing. Everything's online now, so just like how you and I are in two different places and we're connecting virtually like this, you get to see a lot of what people are doing. ICP kind of brought a lot more things and a lot more people into my musical circle. I became friends with a lot of people around the world. And even just being there representing Canada as one of two bands representing Canada, and seeing, bands from Trinidad and bands from the UK, bands from the USA, and bands from all over different parts of the world. It was a good experience. I love that experience and being a part of that. We placed out of, I believe it was 30 bands, if I'm not mistaken. We placed 19th place, and we can always talk about results, and but that's the result that we got. I obviously have different opinions, but the experience meant more. If we had come dead last, I wouldn't trade it for the experience at all. Just being on that stage, and the good thing about it is that being with Pan Fantasy, my Pan Fantasy family, Canada, and representing Canada on the Trinidad stage, it was overwhelming, and there was even a point where I had to actually take a breath and say, wow, this is really happening. We're in an international forum representing my country, where no one looks at me and says, well, you're not Trinidad, or not that they do, but it's a bigger picture, and I think I wish the ICP can happen again. But it was a good experience. It was a great experience. I really loved it. And again, like I said, my friends all over the
taking it back on the Evergreen.
Yeah.
The band was on the Evergreen setup, and I could have seen the excitement, the energy of just being there. Edwin is, let's go, excited all over the band there. Everybody was just full of energy, and seeing you guys there, I felt good because I know you guys from Toronto. I know you guys in Toronto. I know most of you all are Canadian, and that experience to come down, not playing with another band in Trinidad, not playing with Phase 2 or Desperados or somebody, but playing with your band in Trinidad. Yes, I felt that energy, what you all came with and stuff. And that competition, I think it had some foreign bands really represent. Like the Japanese band, they played well.
Brooklyn
right?
Steel
Even
Orchestra.
the band from St. Lucia, the Solution band.
Yeah, BSO. Yeah. BSO
was had some nice little bands pop up.
Yep. And one of the funny thing too about that experience, and I have to shout out Kuva Joylanders, because they were the ones they hosted us, and they were very instrumental in getting us there. One of the things that happened while we were playing, we held up the competition because after we finished playing, there was a dent in the stage. I think one of the equipment kind of went through the stage. So, when we have we make jokes about it, we say, we mash up the stage in Trinidad, literally.
Mash up that big stage, man.
Mash up the stage, man. Yeah, they had to pause for a couple minutes to kind of.
When the bass was on that time.
Huh?
Wait.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. Never. So
Yeah,
as you continue on the a la carte people.
Sorry, that was the
Go ahead.
That was the takeaway from that. You know, we weren't happy with the result, but you know, everybody was saying, well, at least we mashed up the stage. Hey, you gotta take what you get, right?
Ooh. Yeah, man. Ladies and gentlemen, we have Allos Foster, the arranger musical director for the Champion Steelband presidency in Toronto, Canada, Pan Fantasy. Some weeks ago, I had Wendy. That was nice, you know. Wendy was nice. Wendy's show was nice, you know.
I
And so
enjoyed
we have Al here. Al, for the young ones coming up, give them some advice. Words of encouragement. Who pick up for them? Tell them. As a teacher,
keep it simple, man. Keep it simple and be yourself. One of the things that I can't thank Wendy Jones and Edwin John, Cecil and Heather. Everybody who I've worked with always gave me that space. The Naparima alumni, the folks at Naparima alumni that I worked with in the arranging capacity, everybody always gave me that space just to do me. And I think even for people who are bringing up these young ones and who people who are who have the passion and kind of want to take that route, I think it's important to kind of guide them and let them make mistakes. You know, I've made tons of mistakes and you know, just like Michael Jordan did. Michael Jordan was famous. One of his famous sayings was, you know, I succeed because I failed. You know, and you know, I was allowed to be myself. I was allowed to use my own creativity, and you know, and you know, with people would still guide you from a distance, and you know, when you need to be roped in, they rope you in. But I was always given that space. So to anyone who's looking to pursue music in general, is just be you. You know, don't you can I met that same experience in New York. I met Bugsy, Carl husband Spy, my friend. You know, he brought me to Bugsy and said, you know, here's my friend Al from Pan Fantasy. He said, you want to be like you? And Bugsy said, no, don't ever say you want to be like me. Say you want to play music like me, but don't say you want to be like me. And he ended up saying, I am mad man, you know. So I'm crazy. Don't be like me. But, you know, I got the message. So the message was, you know, be yourself and, you know, stay true to you. And, you know, yeah. And I still to this day have my influences that I listen to, and, you know, you appreciate their work, and also you build your own, you find your own voice within your own influences. So that's what that's the advice that I would give to someone up and coming, or who's younger and wants the guidance and wants some direction.
Nice. But and they have kids, right?
I have a 10-year-old son. Yes, I have a 10-year-old son.
What's his name? Marcus?
Yes, Marcus. My
What's
10-year-old.
his name?
Marcus is his name. Yeah.
Let me hear something about Marcus. Give me a little stuff.
Pardon?
Well, give me a little insight on Marcus.
Marcus actually started.
I hear Marcus doing amazing things.
Oh gosh, yeah. Well, he learned to play pan. He's always. I never wanted to be that parent to say, you know, you have to do this because I did it. You know, years I've been begging Marcus, just come to the pan yard. Come to the pan yard. And he was like, no, I just don't feel like it. One year he came and he started to learn, and, you know, he kind of got discouraged and he didn't feel like it. Last year, I was heading to practice just as usual, practicing for Pan Alive. And, he said, are you coming to, he said, you going to practice now? I said, yeah. And he said, I said, why are you coming? As a joke, I wasn't expecting him to want to come. And I said, are you coming? And he said, okay. So we went to practice, and, I didn't expect anything. He was just coming, as far as I'm concerned, he was only coming as company. He wasn't coming to learn anything. He was just coming to get out of the house. So we came to practice, and, Tanty Wendy, get Marcus, and, said, come and try this, try and play, got him on a tenor bass and showed him a couple notes. And, and again, she's like, hey, look, and, I lowered my expectations because I was like, this kid wants nothing to do with Pan. And, he finally, at the end of the practice, he learned how to play the bass line for, what song was it? It was So Long I Ain't See You. We were doing that song as part of the stage side. And he learned the bass. So I was like, okay, cool, whatever. At that point, I'm like, okay, great. You learn a song, whatever. And, so we're on our way home now. And I said to him, you gonna come back tomorrow? Again, not expecting anything. And he was like, yeah, I think I'm gonna come. I'm gonna come back tomorrow. So the next day, we were learning Savannah Grass, which, the panorama speed is different. The panorama energy is different. So, we practiced So Long, and So Long was finished, and we put that to the side, say, okay, panorama song now. So he got a few notes, and, he learned it, learned the notes. We're going home the next day, went back again, and, we're trying to remember stuff. And that's where the learning curve was coming, and, he started to have some trouble. And, he got really discouraged, and, some tears were flowing and stuff, and I tried not to be dad, and just leave him and see what would happen. So, we're going to the car, and he was really disappointed in himself, and said, I didn't really do good today. And I said, then I had to be dad. And I said, well, you only really you learned the song. You only had one day experience playing. So can you really expect a lot? And we talked it out. Again, as a 9-year-old, because this was last year, as a 9-year-old, I had to rationalize with him and say, well, you really didn't really play it long enough to say that you know it. So it's okay to make mistakes because we're practicing. And, I said, there are going to be some good days and there's going to be some bad days, And I said, again, not expecting a lot. I said, you coming with me tomorrow? And he said, yeah, you know what? I'm going to come tomorrow. And he came to practice, and he nailed the parts, and, he got everything. And on the drive home, he's like, Dad, you're right. You're right. You said it right. All the things that, and to me, that hit me because that's the experience I've had with my mentors, right? My mentors were saying, I'll just chill. It's not a rush. You're going to learn something. It's all good, and to see that now be happening with me and my son was good, man. It was, I can't explain how proud I felt. And, and then obviously he went on to learn the whole song, and, and I saw a different kid in him, after learning the song. He has his pan sticks, he has his stick bag. Uncle Jeff gave him some tenor bass sticks. His mom bought him a bag, and, he wrote his name on it. He's proud now. You know what I mean? And that's the experience that I love to see with my son. You know what I mean? So to this day, that stays in my heart. That's an experience. I don't think we can ever surpass that,
All right. So during this COVID lockdown here and thing, inside with no plan this summer, right? You have him practicing what he's doing. Yeah. What do you have him doing?
What do I have him doing? He's been doing, he's also into art. So he does a lot of sculpting with clay. He does a lot of drawing. He's very much into planes. The music thing, actually, he now, because I have a soprano, a tenor pan at home, that he practices, and he was learning. What song was he learning? He was learning "Hello," "Kiss Hello," and he was also learning "Wrong Again." But he hasn't practiced in a couple of days, so he and I fight over that. I'm like, whatever. but he's home, and that's something in the summer that he's taken that initiative to want to practice, and he's now learning another instrument. So I'm like, if he comes back this year, you might see him in the front now instead of in the back where the tenor basses were.
Yeah. That's cool, man. That's cool. Well, I know you're gonna guide him. I know you're gonna guide him well and keep him on course, right? And I try to tell people, you don't have to stand behind the instrument for 2 hours to practice or hour to practice. You could do it in 15 minutes, 10 minutes. If give yourself a 10 minutes and come back. And by the time the day is finished, you practice an hour. All right?
Okay.
Mash it up. Don't stay there. Go on, you go and brush your teeth, you play something, you go in the shower, you finish shower, you play something. 2, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, you work on that. Instead, challenging yourself for an hour to get bored and monotonous.
Can you call him and tell him that?
I have different ways to approach it. I don't approach it. Who?
Can you call him and tell him that? No, I say, because I tell him that all the time. But it sounds different coming from Dad. Like, you know what? I'm going to get Uncle Earl or Uncle Noel to call and tell him. It sounds different coming from someone else, right?
Yeah. Point taken. Guess what? We're back. We're back with Allos Foster. Besides the band, you have a sweet hand. So I want them to tell you guys about this sweet hand. All right? Al, wait.
So,
we had to talk about this sweet.
You asked me a question back about what I would be doing if I wasn't involved in Pan. I'm doing it anyways. I am a business owner. I own a small business with a couple of brands. Allos Creations is one, Foster Foods, and my biggest brand is called What a Jerk, which is a food truck. Again, with the Jamaican influences. I sell Jamaican food. I do my, the typical jerk chicken. I do oxtail, curry goats on occasions, and it's Jamaican style food. But as Trinis would say, don't get tied up, because I could do my corn soup, I could do my bacon saltfish, and the bulldog and all that kind of stuff too, and I do it on occasions too. So that's kind of, I kind of had to. Listen, in this quarantine period, I did actually do some practicing on some dalpery. So, I'm ready. I'm almost ready.
All right.
Yeah, man.
All right. So how we do? We had a roadside curb pickup truck or something?
So
you do anything?
Yeah, in July, I'm actually going to be doing a few things in July. Some of them in conjunction with Pat Fantasy Steelband, and also in July, I'm doing some private events. The COVID really, we mostly do special events, and a lot of them got canceled with all the health restrictions. But if you follow me on social media, on Facebook, we're called What a Jerk. And on Twitter and Instagram, we're What a Jerk TO. TO is in Toronto. So that's WHATAJERKTO. On Instagram, you can follow us and, follow us, and we'll tell you exactly what's going on. You'll know where we're at, what we're doing.
All right, people, you hear that? The pan a la carte. You understand? We following that joke, Chuck. Once all the quarantine thing is lifted, we following that joke, Chuck.
Yep.
And put him on the a la carte.
Yep.
You understand? So there we have Al. He's a culinary specialist.
That's it.
Sweet hand. Right? So pan man could cook.
Yeah. We'll get tied up, as Trinis would say. We'll get tied up.
So, Don't get tired up. Don't get tired up. We had was to come back on to let you all hear this segment. All right, so I'll do it one more time, get them all your information and about your joke truck.
So
Your phone numbers, your address, emails, whatever. Get them it again, one more time.
all right, so you can find What a Jerk on Instagram, and it's What a Jerk TO. That's WHATAJERKTO as in Toronto. Phone number 647-349-3979. Also, you can find us on Facebook, and that's What a Jerk. And it's easy to remember. Just think of jerk, and that's how you'll find us.
Yeah.
So if you want to find us, figure out where we're going to be, we do have a few things planned. So if you follow the social media, you'll definitely be able to find us, when you want some good food.
All right. So again, thank you all for everything, right? On the a la carte, right, people, right? Al Foster doing it. He's doing it with the music, and he's doing it with the food. All right.
Yes,
So
my brother.
you have a sweet hand. All right, look him out. Check him out. Check on if What a Joke on Facebook, right? What a Joke Theo on Instagram. All right. That's my brother Al Foster. All
Yes,
right. God bless you, brother. But Al, it's a pleasure having you here on the a la carte, man. Players only.
Likewise.
We could go on and chat. Right? There's so many little things that I'm amazed about your development, because after I met you, it's about 10 years later, I saw you again.
Yeah.
Right? And I was impressed. Arranging for fantasy, I said, man, I know this. You're a little teenager, man.
Yeah.
And I was always impressed with your air, how sharp it was, to pick up. You used to hear very clean and fast and transpose it on the pan instantaneously. I didn't like that. So it wasn't surprising to see you arranging or doing good in that aspect. I always knew you had that ability.
I appreciate that.
I'm glad you found a home and a space that supported you, because that is a very important thing. Getting support, being in the right space.
That's right.
And your mates, and your teammates around there in fantasy, who support you, the Wendy and the Edwin and inspire them. Peace and blessings to what you all guys doing on the West End there.
I appreciate that, man.
So,
and I have to also.
I want to big up a program. I want to big up.
Sorry, I was gonna say.
I want to big it up. I want to big up the number one. We're going to say.
No, I was gonna say too. I have to big up the Toronto bands too. The bands like Afropan and Silhouettes and Fanatics, Panmasters, New Dimensions, and all the other bands in Toronto that come out and push this thing, because it's not just a one band thing anymore, and it's the Pan fraternity in Toronto, and everybody's trying to which we're all trying to do the same thing. So I want to big up every single person who is involved in pushing Pan the right way, pushing it in the right direction, and helping to do that.
Yeah. And Toronto has a nice program in the school. The educational system accept the instrument. And I experienced certain things across there which is very good, very, very good. I have to give you all 100% kudos for keeping it in the school system and creating the development in the art form through that system. I think Toronto has the best school system for the instrument that I have witnessed for the last 30 years. All right, so I can go on with that. So again, thank you for coming on the a la carte.
Thank you.
And what's the number one Steelband program? Pan a la carte.
Pan a la carte, players only. Big up yourself every time.
Yes, my brother.
All right.
Yes, my
Cool, man.
brother. We have done it nice. We have done it nice. I appreciate your time. I had to do this interview. I hope when it spread, people get to know more about Mr. Allos Foster, right? And who did not know him from before and heard about him. This is the man live and direct here on the air.
I appreciate
Right?
what you're doing, man.
So go save me. God continue to bless you, my brother.
Likewise, enough respect
Thank you.
and love.
Thank you. It's all for the platform.
Yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes.
man. Respect.
Hey,
Heart of love.
that's it.
Heart of love. Heart of love. Right? Yeah, man.
Hey.
Heart of love. Heart of love. Yeah, man. This is how we do it. This is how we do it on the a la carte. All right. My name is Noel La Pierre. Thank you for joining us. All right. Don't forget, Thursday, pan a la carte performance from 12 noon. All right. God bless each and everyone. Until next time.